By the end of this video, you're going to know 6 ways to catch more catfish. If you simply make these adjustments, you will have no issues catching more catfish and bigger. But I will warn you, the last 2 steps are the most important ones, so make sure you don't skip them. To optimize your fishing results, you'll want to use everything in your favor, and this includes the weather. A couple of things you want to look into specifically is the temperature, rain, and wind speed. Okay, so what I did, I Googled the weather in Galveston, Texas, which is just a local city by me, and let's go to the temperature, let's go to Monday. The low, or let's go to Tuesday instead. The low is 81, which is around 7 a.m., and the high is 91 around 4 p.m. What this tells me is that I should not be fishing midday. Usually, when it's very hot, the fishes tend to stop biting. Second, let's go to the precipitation section. As you can tell, the rain chances are very, very low. And that tells me that it'll be a good time to fish. And the reason why is because if it rains, that water pressure will change, which is not a good thing. And then the wind speed is very low. The highest speed is 14 miles per hour, which tells me that when I go fishing, I should be fishing with light weights. I shouldn't be using heavy weights. And be careful not to make this mistake that I did as a beginner. I usually went fishing in horrible conditions, either raining hard or very windy or very hot. And typically on those days, I didn't catch anything. So don't make that mistake. But just changing that isn't enough. You also need to target the right areas in your body of water. Every body of water will have its own unique structures and depth elevations. Okay. So what I did, I Googled the topography map of Lake Superior, one of the largest lakes in the world. And if you look throughout the topography map, you can see elevations, depths. You have 660 feet there. We have 713 there. We have 328. So elevation definitely changes throughout this lake. And fishes will change their behaviors depending on depth. And then I went to the top of the Lake Superior, and you can tell there's a little island and there's a little inlet. What this tells me is that this will be a prime area for small fishes to go to. That being said, you can catch your bait there, you can catch smaller fishes, and you can use that bait and take it out deeper into the lake. Same thing with here. There's a small island in the middle of the lake. So roughly around here, I would say some fishes will congregate right there or right here, you know. A very great mistake that I did as a young fisherman was going to fishing spots without knowing anything about it. So usually I used to fish spots that had no sort of structure. And that being said, there were no fishes caught that day. Secondly, I used to fish a lot of areas where it was very rocky and I would just get snagged and nothing would happen. So before you go fishing, make sure you know more about your spot. For the third tip, always make sure to check your bait frequently. That being said, this can be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, but at most an hour. This is very important because when you're catfishing, you're usually fishing for something else too, even if you don't mean to. The same thing a catfish eats, a gar eats, a turtle eats, tilapia eats, etc. So make sure you check your bait a lot of times, every 15 to 30 minutes, preferably. When I was a young fisherman, I made a grave mistake, which was not checking the bait. There was one day where I fished for 8 hours. Decided not to check the bait because I thought it was all good. By the end of the fishing trip, I realized when I reeled in my fishing pole, there was nothing there. I wasted my whole day fishing with nothing. But just changing that is not enough. You should also never fall in love with one fishing spot. In a given fishing day, you only have, let's say, 4 hours up to 8 hours or 10, 12 if you're me. You don't want to spend any of those hours not catching fishes just because you believe one spot is the best. When I was a young fisherman, and to this day actually, I know you fall in love with those fishing spots. It's produced fishes and you get used to it. You love it. You go back. I do that too at times. But don't ever let that get in the way of you finding better spots or just new spots. Tip number 5 is to learn new patterns. I have heard a lot of people say that fishing is a luck thing. Not true at all. Fishing is all about patterns. If you learn these patterns, every time you go fishing, you should catch a fish for sure. Every body of water is different, as we previously said. So fishes in one body of water will act different compared to fishes in a different body of water. That being said, if you know what these fishes do, if you learn what time they usually like to eat, or if you know what time or spot they're gonna be at, capitalize on that. Use that to your advantage. If you do this, you'll catch more fishes. A mistake that a lot of fishermen make, even me to this day, is you should never rely on a pattern fully. Every day comes different weather conditions. Every day, just a different scenario for a fish, and that fish might be acting differently on that day. So always be prepared for the worst. Bring other methods of fishing. But that's not enough. You should also choose the right bait for your body of water. Different bodies of water means different sources of food. Those different sources of food come in different ways. You can't expect for a fish to eat something that it has never seen in its life. If you can, always choose the bait that's predominant in that body of water. So if you're not sure what bait is predominant in your body of water, just throw a cast net. Throw a simple cast net. And that'll tell you what bait's in this water and what to use. So let's see what we got. You see? Just like that. You know there's gonna be good bait in here. You know this is, so we have shad, we have a freshwater drum. That's how you know what to use in your body of water. Fish on. Another great mistake that I did as a young fisherman was I would fish bodies of waters with the wrong baits. For example, I fished at the Brazos River the other day. Fished it with mullet. No luck whatsoever. But the moment I switched to carp and tilapia, I had bites within the hour. So make sure you use the right bait.